welcome back to the End of the Internet podcast. I'm your host, Gonzalo, and if you've reached us, congratulations. You've made your way to the end of the internet. On today's episode, Marcus and I are going to be discussing his dream pitch for a Batman movie. We know that Matt Reeves has his Batman movie in the works that should be out come summer 2021, I think. This news hit recently and we thought, hey, this is a good time to talk about it. We were going to kind of collaborate and do this together, but I really liked the direction that Marcus was going, so I just kind of wanted him to be untethered and I wanted to hear his version of a perfect Batman movie. This will be part 1 of 2. As the next episode that drops will be the reverse. I will be discussing what I feel would make a perfect Batman movie in my head with an unlimited budget, unlimited time, and Marcus will be asking questions and chipping in here and there the way I did with his pitch. This is a conversation we've been meaning to have. We were going to record this episode numerous times, but other topics kind of presented themselves and we thought that we should jump at those because they were fresh, they were energetic, they were exciting, they were spur of the moment, and I really wanted to capture that. So this episode kept getting pushed further and further back, but we figured now is the perfect time to talk about it. We don't need a lot of reasons to spend a few hours talking about Batman, as you will learn listening to this podcast, but it was a lot of fun to record. Anytime that I get to sit down and gush about Batman or listen to somebody else gush about these characters that I love so much is a great time for me. Thank you guys so much for listening, taking the time out of your day, week, month, years to listen to our ramblings, and we really hope that you guys enjoy it as much as we enjoy bringing it to you. If you guys would like to comment, be a part of the conversation, please email us, leave comments below, hit us on Twitter, all the usual avenues. We'd love to hear what you guys think. And I used to be such a snob about people online on video essays or talk shows talking about these characters that I love, and they would get certain details wrong, and I would just go, you dummy, it's this, not that. That's Steve McNevin, that's not Travis Charest. But this is the second episode where I have made such a blunder. In this episode, I mentioned something, and I mean to say Batman Beyond, but I say Batman Begins, and it's hilarious. So look out for that. But again, thanks guys for listening. Without further delay, this is our discussion on what Marcus believes to be a perfect Batman movie. We hope you guys enjoy. We'll talk to you soon. So, today's episode is going to be a topic that we had discussed and have been wanting to do for, I think, the last 2 episodes, and we just haven't really gotten around to doing it. Today is a topic that was, again, brought up by my best friend and co-host, Marcus. And Marcus, do you want to tell us what we're talking about today?
Okay, so in light of the new updated information about the upcoming Batman movie and Ben Affleck being out, it sparked a lot of, I guess, wishful thinking on what we hope the next Batman would be. So, of course, the simplest form was, well, what would your dream Batman movie be? So this conversation is going to be basically what our dream Batman movie would be. This doesn't mean that it's what we're basing, like what's gonna happen. I mean, we're talking director, everything, complete fantasy.
Yeah, this isn't what we want to see. What we want to see in the Matt Reeves version. This is our dream version.
Yeah, that's the first discussion. Because as we get more information with the Matt Reeves version, who he picks as a Bruce/Batman, and as we get more into the details of villains and stuff like that, then we can discuss what we hope to see for his version.
Yeah, and the excitement levels up
exactly.
or down.
But for this podcast episode, I think, for us to finally dedicate an entire episode on one of our mutually favorite characters.
This isn't also like, yes, I think it's a perfect time to talk about it because Batman and the new movie's finally in the news again, and we got some real shit to talk about. Like, well, I guess speculate on. But this is something that we always talk about. Like, yeah, it's a topic that I feel we constantly discuss. Like, what would we want to see in a Batman movie? And now is just like a great time to strike, I think. So
absolutely.
This will be kind of like, I really like.
Is it topical? Absolutely.
Yeah,
but is it an excuse for us to talk about our favorite character ever?
We've had this conversation
absolutely.
A bunch. So yeah, this is something that I've been looking forward to, and it's always been kind of like an ace in the hole. Like, what would we do if we don't have anything to talk about?
We talk about Batman.
Talk about Batman.
Yeah, I mean,
And,
the things we could talk about this guy.
Yeah, and we will at length.
Yeah,
whether people want us to or not.
At
but,
length.
I'm excited. I think right now is a very exciting time at DC and Warner Brothers as far as these characters are concerned and all the stuff that's kind of on the way. And I think that there's been this real kind of like at the end of a relationship, it's just dragging on. You both know it's going to end, but nobody wants to pull the trigger. You know,
Yeah.
like now we've finally broken up. Okay, Ben Affleck is gone officially, and we're going to get a trilogy of movies from a very accomplished filmmaker. So I think people can be excited about it again. Like, who is going to play Alfred? You know, I never liked Jeremy Irons as Alfred.
It didn't bother me.
Yeah.
I dug the take, but nothing will beat.
I think John
Michael
Waters
Caine.
is like my perfect Alfred. I mean, he's not British, but he looks like fucking Alfred Pennyworth.
Yeah.
Dude. He looks just like him.
Yeah,
But,
for sure.
I would love to see that. And then there's been this long Twitter thread. I can't remember who started it, but about Daniel Kaluuya playing Batman.
Who is Daniel Kaluuya?
He's the main actor that was in Get Out. He is in Black Panther. He's in Black Mirror. He's in Sicario.
Oh,
I
that
believe
guy?
I believe he's British. But they're like, well, what if Batman were black? You know, like what would that look like? And so
I'm
there's
sorry,
a lot of
I'm not 2018, 2019 enough for that yet.
I'm
Get Bruce right first, and then we can discuss
I would love
Elseworlds.
to see that. It's something that I've just mentioned with other friends, and something I think the first time I heard it was something that Mark Bernardin had said. I believe he was the first to talk about it. Was if you make Batman black, if you make him African American, then he kind of becomes the least interesting thing about his history. Like how does an African American family in this version of America rise to be one of the most powerful and prominent families on the East Coast and in the United States? And
Yeah.
that's a really interesting story. Like what was Thomas and Martha's life like? Like that becomes super interesting, and Bruce is just a kid of rich people, you know. And there's a lot to explore there, and that Twitter thread is amazing. It's a lot of fun to read. But I would be surprised if we saw something that forward thinking just yet.
Yeah,
I mean, people nearly shit their pants when the idea that Idris Elba could have been 007, and that's way more,
I'm down for that.
Yeah, that's way closer to the mark than Daniel Kaluuya being Batman. Though I think Daniel's
I
a
saw
fantastic
something on
actor, and I
I
would
saw
love
something
to see
on
that
Twitter
Batman.
about Michael B. Jordan being the next Batman.
Oh
and I
my
was
god,
like,
I'd watch the shit out of that too. Like, I don't have a problem at all with Bruce Wayne being African American.
I don't either,
It's just-
but at the same time, you would have to get a really perfect.
There's
character.
so much like there's
and both those
already-
guys are not perfect for me. I was like, oh,
really?
no, yeah, I can't buy them.
I think Daniel Kaluuya is mesmerizing. Like I love watching.
I think
him
he's
on
a
screen.
damn good actor.
But I think that Warner Brothers is way too timid right now. You know, like there's no way they're going to do something that progressive.
No.
You know, there's no way in hell. So
We haven't even got a Black Green Lantern yet. Like there is
I
an
know,
actual Black
yeah.
Green Lantern. Why are you not going? Hey, oh shit! Fucking...
One of my favorite stories about the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern was that there was a whole cross section of people that were like, "That's not Green Lantern. Green Lantern's an African American. Like
Yeah.
John Stewart. Where the fuck is that dude?" Because of JLI, which I thought was really fucking cool, or JLU. So where is John Stewart? You know, we'd like to see that.
I would. Idris Elba, John Stewart. Let's go.
I don't think he's good for
Really?
yeah,
I
for
think
John
he'd be
Stewart.
awesome.
Yeah. I think Idris Elba's really posh, and John Stewart's like a roughneck. You know, he's a jarhead, and
I think he can play that.
I know. I think he could, but I think there's somebody better.
You're like,
You know
I don't
what
want him to.
I kind of don't want him to. Yeah, I think he'd be a little too.
He's more of your what's his name, Mr. Terrific.
Oh my god, that's perfect cast. Yes. Oh my god.
Marcus for
Michael
3.
Holt.
He
Yes.
scores.
Okay, so give me that movie right now. That's my dream project. If someone gave me $200 million, what would you do? Make a Mr. Terrific movie with Idris Elba?
Nice.
Okay, back on subject though. So Batman. What is something that you think you would, not something that a Batman movie needs, but something that you want to see, like this dream version of Batman in a film, on film? What would you want it to look like?
Oh, that would look wise. I hate to bring up this director because I don't want people to get his vision in their head, but I want it to harken back a little bit to that old Tim Burton look. But not the Tim Burton eye. I don't want a Nightmare Before Christmas Tim Burton weird structure.
Like Dark Deco, Neo Gothic kind of.
If Jay Lee was an actual director, I would want Jay Lee to direct it. And for those out there who don't know who Jay Lee is, he's a comic book artist. He's absolutely fantastic. Just Google search Jay Lee, Jeilee.
Jae.
AE, sorry.
Lee.
Shut up. I totally, sorry, I messed that up. Just Google some of his images, and I mean,
have him as your like production designer and doing like
have him do some freaking some workups. What do they call them? The drawing boards and
design,
stuff. Yeah,
storyboards.
Thank you. You have him. Mason's all about it right now.
Yeah, he's way into this.
Just in case y'all don't know, Mason is our third co-host on and off. So
occasional
co-host when he feels like it.
When he deigns to be a part of the podcast.
If you could, I need someone with the eye of like Jay Lee. I know this is gonna sound kind of silly. Again, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google search it. I need someone with the eye of the designers of Limbo. Okay. I want silhouettes. I want darkness, but I don't want darkness as in like gritty. I want like
cool, actual gothic dark. Right?
Yeah, I want to play with light. I want to play
inspired.
Exactly.
Cathedrals and shit like that.
Yeah, exactly. You know, those things. I want there to be just that kind of an eye. Like I said, I don't want dark and gritty, even though dark and gritty is welcomed. I just want that imagery, like really capture that. There's more to Batman than just, you know, the money and the gadgets. There's more to Batman than just...
I think that a gothic take on Batman is something that I think Tim Burton thinks he did, and there was like hints of it there. But a real hard lean into the gothic imagery would be really, really cool.
Exactly, and that's one aspect I really like. Like I love that kind of imagery. I like when Batman is covered in shadow and he looks like one of the things that I feel that the Nolan trilogy touched on in the very beginning, and no one has really, and again, even in like the Burton movies, the very little aspect of it. I like the idea that in Batman's first appearance, people think he's a monster, like a mythical creature almost. Like I like that kind of fear.
Yeah, I remember getting chills when I saw Batman Begins, and they have that one scene where Bruce is standing on top of that one building, you know, and the camera just kind of like pans around. He's just like standing there brooding. It's like,
the cape is almost around the I mean, it was
perfect, like a gargoyle or something.
Exactly, and I love stuff like that.
Batman, you know?
So if you can incorporate the gothic looking mythical, like, oh man, Batman's a legend, you know, like he's a fucking fairy tale, he's a horror story that criminals tell each other. If you could mount that in a modern day movie with everything we know and technology and stuff, that would be badass. Like,
you could do it a little bit more stylized, because so many superhero movies especially are green screen shot and stuff, so why not stylize it? You could make these really kind of impossible fixtures and structures and make it look really, really cool.
Yeah, like if you were to take a lot of the aesthetic from the animated series, like the oranges and the way the lights are, the red sky sometimes, you know, even though I don't always like the red sky, I like it when it's just a normal black sky with a big old full moon in the background. But I mean, just little things like that. I know Matt Reeves wants to focus on the detective aspect, and that's what I would want too. But there's also when I threw out the idea of this Batman movie and our dream Batman movie, I want that little bit of the detectiveness, but I kind of want an adventure Batman. Like I kind of want to feel that.
Okay, would you want it to be something that was, so you don't want to see like a straight adaptation, like you don't want to see Dark Victory and like Long Halloween and then Dark Victory in two parts in a movie, or just kind of like spiritually that? I don't need, because then the only problem with trying to bring something like that is you'll have people constantly nitpicking it, whether it's warranted or not. Well, then you get nitpicked anyway, though, right?
Yeah, but I mean, at least with the reason why I feel like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were so fantastic even to this day is because it was like, no, we took all the best ideas of Batman and made it into the modern era.
Oh, you know what you should do? Okay, I'm sorry, please hold on to your thought, but you
no,
should
it's
start
gone.
a Batman trilogy, starting with like Bruce talking to Terry McGinnis. So after these 3 movies, you start the Batman Begins trilogy. So it's already just like built in and baked into the stories.
That would be fucking cool. That would be so cool.
A cheap way to do it. Anyway, sorry.
It still would be cool though.
Yeah.
Like if you were to do like my fantasy trilogy, I would want 3 different directors. Of course, the same Batman, really? But I would want to do it the way like Alien started. Alien was a horror movie that turned into the action movie that turned into kind of something else.
Okay.
So I want Batman to start off as the detective movie, and then through escalation, it turns into more of a like
superhero movie.
Not necessarily. No. The third movie would be more of the superhero movie. The second movie would be a little bit more like Dark Knight-esque, where it's like, okay, the mythical, like everyone knows Batman exists now, you know, but it's still like, man, like
it's like costume villains and stuff.
Yeah. You had a better chance of winning the Powerball than running into him, like that kind of stuff. but he's still there. Like, he is a force in Gotham. Everyone's talking about him as a vigilante versus in the beginning it was like, what is this bat creature, you know? And the third movie could be more of the, like, superhero, like, saving the city.
Yeah.
You know, the first movie would be him going, not necessarily petty crime, but a smaller, you know, like, or a gangster, you know, a kingpin of sorts.
Something more akin to like Daredevil season 1 or something.
Exactly,
like
you know,
small but important crime to
exactly, and then like it escalates.
Drug
into
runners and sex traffickers and shit.
Exactly,
like that.
and then the second movie starts introducing serious villains. Like, it'd be cool to see a Batman movie start like a year one aspect, a young Bruce finding his way, becoming Batman, but not rehashing Batman Begins. And his big rival, or his first real big takedown, is like Rupert Thorne or something. You know, something really like, oh shit, I
super
know that.
sweaty.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, like fucking Rupert Thorne, you know, or
Roland Daggett.
yeah, Roland Daggett, you know, something like that. And then through the series of that first movie, as we now know him as a vigilante for the second movie, it turns more into the introduction. Like, I love that. One thing I love about Batman Begins is that end where he's talking about escalation. You know, and the idea that because Batman is now Batman, he might bring up the crazies in a completely different way. And I also would like to see is like, no, they've always been there. You just pushed them to almost do what you're doing, you know, like really like symbolic, like, okay, you know, you want to be a symbol for the city. Well, we're going to be a symbol for what we stand for, you know? And then that third movie kind of coming to more of a saving the city, you know, kind of situation. Of course, introducing a bigger, better, you know, more honed in villain, a Joker or a Bane. But like, again, it's so hard because you don't want to retread stuff, but at the same time, you can't have a Batman trilogy or anything without eventually coming across the Joker. You just can't do it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I really want them to do Bane better than... I didn't like Bane in The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, he was alright. He looked cool, you know. I hated his voice. I want to see a giant brooding Bane, you know. I mean, it doesn't need to be, you know, CG big.
I would hate to see a CG
yeah,
Bane.
like, I just want him to be, you know, like what we had discussed personally, like we were talking about, like having someone like Bautista being, you know, or even someone as big as, what's his name? Who's that UFC fighter? What's his fucking Brock? Like Brock just this big, huge dude. Except, you know, I kind of want him to be Mexican. You know, it's like, yeah, let's go to that. Like, that was his thing. You know, and those would be really cool. You know, or even. You want to talk about super sweaty? You even kind of bring some of the ideas from what was that? The animated series, like one of the last seasons, they did our favorite episode with Scarecrow and like
season 4,
Over the Edge. You do something like that, like introduce, you know, like that idea that Bane is now, you know, I don't know. If you've never seen Over the Edge, you know, Google it a little bit or watch it because it is one of the best animated series.
Season 4 Batman animated series.
It was so good. But I mean, just taking little things like that would be fantastic. I want to see... Here's one thing that I have to have in a Batman movie. So when I watch the original movies, Keaton, Kilmer, all them, you know, they're fun. They're interesting. I get this. I hate when people, even now, especially with, you know, Christian Bale and even Ben Affleck. Like, Ben Affleck was the closest I've seen to a perfect version of Batman when it came to fighting. That shit looked like it was ripped right out of the Arkham games, and that's you need to keep that. Keep that. He needs to be... That was
a bit excessive.
No!
You know? Because I think it was. Like, for Batman, he literally killed
No.
Not the guns. No, I'm talking about the actual fighting. Like, no one comes back from 3 of those things. You know, like, he...
I agree. Like, the big cargo thing, that was a bit much.
Yeah. Like, that dude's done. Like,
but I'm talking more of, like, the agility.
He kicked a grenade into a bunker and killed 2 other guys.
Yeah, that's true.
That is not a Batman.
No. I'm talking more of the almost superhuman feats of agility. That's what I want to see. I want to see Batman take down a room of 12 people, but do it like Batman. You know, he put them down, they're knocked out. You know for a fact, like, no one could argue, no, that man's dead. Like, no, I know that Batman. When he grappling hooked that big old cargo box and he hit that dude, there's blood on the wall. That dude's dead. You can't argue that.
Well, in the extended cut, in the theatrical, there's no blood.
Is there? Oh, I don't remember. I just remember seeing blood at one point, so it might have been a rewatch, but... That's what I mean. I want the super... Basically, and I know this is going to sound kind of vain or sweaty, whatever. I want there to be no room for any kind of an argument that Batman couldn't stand toe to toe with someone like Captain America on the Marvel side.
Okay.
And I don't think Christian Bale's Batman could stand toe to toe with fucking with
kind of
Chris
feel like
Evans.
he would probably lose that
He
fight.
would get his ass whooped. You
I would
know,
say ass whooped, but it'd be. I don't think he would win.
I don't think he wins that fight.
Yeah.
And I need that. I need there to be a DC movie where Batman, you can go, that dude could stand up to. I mean, you could even say, oh, I don't know if he beat him, but that he would give Cap a run for his money because Cap's a super soldier. Batman's just a human being, but it should be that way. It should be to a point where you're like, oh, crap.
Yeah, it's like in Batman Begins when he's fighting at the dock and it's cut real fast. You're kind of like, yeah, it's Batman, you know. But when Cap gets into that elevator in Winter Soldier, you totally believe that he could beat that. You know what I mean? Like he beats all those dudes up and he's able to escape with his life. Like, no, yeah, Cap could totally do that.
Yeah,
you totally believe it watching it. Whereas, like you said, the Christian Bale one is a little, you know.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, you know. And I know Nolan wasn't the strongest when it came to, you know.
And that's not the story he wanted to tell. You know,
yeah, exactly. Which is totally fine. Yeah. But the story I need to be told is I need a version of Batman to go, that dude can handle his business against, you know, dudes like Captain America. You know what I mean? Like, because he's my watermark for the fisticuffs on that DC side. Like, I expect Batman not to do too much against Thor. You know what I mean? Like, he's a god.
He better not.
I expect those things.
Well, this version of Thor, I think Batman can do that.
I think he actually, I think he fights him. You know, he does some damage. Like, he should whoop Peter Quill's ass. He should be whooping, you know, Gamora's ass. Like, hands down. Like, that should be like, if they were to cross over, Batman puts them two down first, and everyone's like, oh shit, like, this dude's for real.
He would have a harder time with Gamora than with Peter.
Yeah,
like Peter,
alien arts. Alien arts.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's one of the biggest keys that I need. I need there to be a Batman where when you see him fight on screen, you can go, holy crap, that dude, that's Batman. Like, oh, okay. Because there's too many situations where I feel I'm defending, and I don't know if it's an unbiased, complete fanboy thing, but like when someone says, oh, you know, Batman can't do that. I'm like, yeah, he can. I've seen it before. It's like, I know you haven't seen it because you're just basing it off of movies you've seen. Like in the comics, which is what we're trying to base it off of, he's done crazy shit like that where he's fought a room of 100, you know.
Or the animated series. Or
like, the animated series.
The Gotham Knights, those shorts were really good.
And even then, like there's times even in the animated series where I'm like, oh, Batman wouldn't do that. You know, where he falls for a trap because to move the story along. You know, it's like that's not Batman. You know what I mean? I want a perfect version of Batman to where that brain is always on and he's not gonna fall for stupid shit. You know, and I get it to move the story along, but there's better ways to do it. You know. So that's one of my biggest things. The other thing is I kind of want there to be more emphasis on the gadgets. Now, here's the thing. Again, when I say I want Batman to be able to take on Captain America, that's not far-fetched. But when I say I want Batman to have a really good chance, just in his normal suit, but with the gadgets he has on his belt, to not necessarily take down, but to have a strong, like, holy shit, this guy's good fight against someone like Iron Man, he should have that kind of tech on his belt because he's seen it. You know what I mean? So if he ever came across someone like an Iron Man, there better be enough EMPs, a whole bunch of different gadgets that you can negate that suit, you know, to where it's like, oh, wow. Like, I need someone like Cap and I need someone like Tony to, after confronting Batman, go, damn, that was, whew. You're like, okay, hi, how you doing, Batman? And I need those two things in a movie because I don't think we've ever gotten those. Granted, you know, the Batman versus Superman crap movie, he fights Superman, but he has this suit, and which is what we expect because Superman is the god of all gods when it comes to all of the shit he can do. So I that's fine. But when someone like Iron Man, like in a just chance cross meeting, he should be able to stand toe to toe with him. I don't necessarily need him to beat him, even though, you know, in my head with the gadgets he can. But just to be able to not look like he was not prepared. And that's another thing. So preparation, of course, to almost inhuman agility in combat. Like those are two big things. Like really bring out that concept of a ninja. Like this is a ninja.
I think in the movies that we've seen so far, we fill in the blanks, right?
Yeah.
As fans, we go, oh, he's the world's greatest detective. Oh, he's one of the world's greatest hand-to-hand fighters, but we never see it. We
Yeah.
never see it. Right? Like, not once, if you're just going off the specs of the movies and just watching those fight scenes, would anyone ever go, he's the greatest fighter in the world? You know? So it'd be cool to see that represented.
And there's too many times where, like, even in the movies, again, to move it along or to add drama, he's getting his ass kicked by people he shouldn't be getting his ass kicked by. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care how the specialists they are. Like, one of the coolest things I remember ever seeing about Batman that continued that mythos about Batman was when that dude in the Keaton, the first movie, where the guy comes out with the sword. He's like, yeah. He's doing the sword dance, and he runs at him, and Batman just fucking punks him out. Like, block, get the fuck out of here. That was Batman. Like, that was very, okay, that was Batman.
Yeah, that's a real Batman moment.
You know, or even the one where I think the guy, I don't know if he jumps at him or he rushes him down, he has that, like that,
it's like a
launch pad thing in his hand and, like, knocks him back.
Yeah.
Like, stuff like that. Like, I need to see more of those things. Like, I remember getting really giddy, and technically, you know, kind of like overly giddy, because I wanted it so bad, when Batman in The Dark Knight is clinging to the van and he has that thing where he bends the gun and then he's ripping through the door. I'm like, that's my Batman. I need to see more gadgets like that. I want this dude to be prepared for every situation, you know. I want there to be smoke bombs where he disappears like a ninja. And I need more grappling hook. The first Batman Begins gave me some grappling hook moments and I loved them. And then there was no more grappling hook.
It's just so hard to film, you know. Yeah. But it's like easier to have him glide than it is for him to
and that too. The gliding was wonderful.
I like the gliding a lot, but I'd much prefer the grappling hook.
I need both. Like I gliding from rooftop to rooftop or coming down, perfect. But in those situations where he needs to get the fuck out and he's gonna skedaddle, I need grappling hook. I need that. That's all. That's an iconic Batman. Or falling off of a building, grappling hook. You know what I mean? Like, there needs to be more grappling hook.
So you want a gothic set design, more emphasis on the fighting and the gadgets. Those are the three things right now that would make a great Batman movie for you.
Yes, because I feel like I haven't. I feel like I've gotten pieces of them, but I have not gotten that in a full, perfect Batman movie. You know what I mean? Yeah, I would say those. Another thing that I absolutely adored, but sometimes I have to rework it in my head because I still don't know how it works, and I don't think there's a good, like, I haven't seen the YouTube video on it, but I don't think there's a good way to prove that it works. I think it was just kind of like movie magic and kind of BS, like where he recreates the fingerprint from the bullet, and I'm like, how? Like, how did you do that? You know, and I literally have to purge it from my head because I don't care. He's Batman. You know what I mean? I have to give that super, you know, biased response to my head to not jump down the rabbit hole and really just shit all over it. But I want more stuff like that.
Some of that stuff is like, just, you're gonna have to swallow if you're gonna make a movie, you know? Like, he's gonna have to lose, he's gonna have something to overcome. So some of that will be in there, you know?
Of course, no. I don't need him to be this, like, untouchable, but just, there has to be more, like, if he's fighting street thugs, I don't want them to hit him. Unless they're, like, higher level, like, oh, no, these dudes are, like, you know, fucking...
One thing I really liked about that is, like, you remember that Alex Ross painting where it's like Batman, he's just like looking over his shoulder and he has all his fucking scars and shit, which I think like Nolan brought in when he shows Bruce's back's all bruised and ripped up and stuff. I like that. Like, I like the...
Well, in a year one Batman, I want that.
No, like every single version of Batman, even like God Batman, like there should just be so much going on that every so often someone gets a punch in, someone gets a kick in, someone gets a hit in, and that's why he does it. Like, it's part of his sacrifice, is that he's sacrificing his body. He's not superhuman. He's not the Flash. Well, he's not faster than...
Let me clear up what I'm trying to say. I still stand by what I'm saying, but what I'm saying is, I guess more at the apex in the second or third movie, I want to see that Batman. But
yeah,
in
who's mostly going to win.
Exactly. Like, but yeah, I do like I'm still learning, because you have to have all those roadblocks in your way to become... So for him to have become the Batman I want to see, I do want to see, like, the fucking Daredevil hallway, just disgusting... fight scene with like 8 dudes and they're beating the shit out of him, but he's beating the shit out of them. Like, I do want to see that. I'm not saying I don't, but at some point in a fantasy trilogy, I want to see a perfect version of Batman.
Yeah, I would like to see him take out most people pretty handedly, but for me, part of what makes him a great hero is that he's a man that's going and doing this, and he gets hit all the time. You know, like, even at the peak version of himself, he's still gonna get hit.
Yeah,
He still has to, like, that's why he continues to work out, why he drinks the fucking greens he does, and all that. You know what I mean? Like, what makes his sacrifice so important?
You think Batman does TB12?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, okay, thank God. Tim Brady. Tim Brady.
Tim Brady.
Yeah,
Okay.
Tom Brady's menu thing. It's what supposedly keeps him playing at the AG at.
Oh,
it's silly.
Yeah. But I like that he isn't perfect, and a lot of what separates him from most of the DC and even the Marvel heroes is that he gets hit. And,
Yeah.
you know, he will always be he should always be the best fighter on the block, but he's fighting 40 dudes. Like 12 guys. Like, it's just an impossibility, which is part of what makes him interesting. Is like that he's just a man. That there's a part of us that's like, well, if we tried really hard, we could be Batman. You know, like we can't be Iron Man. Like, we can't be Captain America. We can't be Superman. But you know, with all the right things that were to align perfectly in a human life on this earth, we could be Batman.
I want to see Batman do some parkour. But not
why not?
Actual parkour, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like,
I would love
want
to see him run across
do...
rooftops, you know, and like the cape behind him and shit, you know, like that would be really, really awesome. One thing I don't want to see in a Batman movie is him doing the Dark Knight Return pose from the cover of #1 with the lightning bolt and his arms out, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I love that fucking cover and I love that series, but I don't need to see that in a live action version of Batman.
Yeah.
I hate it in the animated movie of those, the two-parter. Like when he jumps across the screen, does the pose, and lightning comes down. It's like, ugh, fuck you, you know? Like, it looks stupid when he slides across the frame. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really didn't like it, but that's something.
Because it looks goofy in a way.
Does.
Like on a comic book page,
yeah.
it looks awesome. Because it's like you're catching him in midst
Yeah.
of a movement versus the other one is like, ah!
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
He's like posing.
Yeah, he's posing. It just doesn't look cool.
So, what else? So these are aspects that are like things that have to, I guess, are there any, okay, so you're good fighter, best fighter.
Yeah,
best
like,
fighter.
So basically I want him to, now that you said that, now that we kind of cleared that up, I would like him to be a middle mix between Daredevil and the series and how he fights and to like upper echelon how Cap fights.
Yeah, okay.
Somewhere in the middle, there is a Batman that does fucking work, but doesn't get his ass kicked when he's overwhelmed. And on one-on-ones, this dude's...
Like compelling, like, visuals. When the Matrix movies stopped being interesting is when Neo became Neo. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
when he was
in
too
2 and
perfect.
3, he was untouchable, and made those fight scenes kind of drag on. There's no real stakes, you know?
Exactly.
That, like, but when Trinity was fighting or Morpheus was fighting, and you're like, oh shit, how is this going to end? You know?
Yeah, because he's
which
not...
I really like. Yeah. And
so yeah, in the middle gray, Daredevil from the Netflix series Captain America, somewhere in there is what I want to see. You know,
maybe a little bit higher than those, right?
No. Like if you were to have a scale between Daredevil and Cap, it'd be probably like 65 toward Cap. Yeah. You know, like closer.
I think Winter Soldier is a really good
example.
example of
That's
like,
exactly what I want to see.
Fighting someone on his level, like Bucky. Spoilers.
If you don't know that, get off this podcast. Go watch fucking Winter Soldier.
But yeah, that's like he's fighting and he can be hit, but he's the superior fighter and stuff like that. I fucking love Winter Soldier.
Yeah, that's exactly what I would want to see. Cool. Like and again,
because like at the beginning when he takes out the people on the ship. Like, Batman could be like that with the lower level thugs. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Lower level stuff, he should almost be perfect. But when it starts getting to the sweaties, when it's like, oh, no, this is a career criminal, 15 years of fucking fighting knowledge, like he's, or a hitman or something. Not necessarily like Deathstroke level.
When he fights the Leaper, that's like how he should be fighting Deadshot. And then when he fights Winter Soldier, that's like him fighting Deathstroke.
Yeah, exactly. That's... perfect, right there. Pin that. That's what I mean. Right. That's what I want.
I'm just here to guide your visions.
No. Because if there's anything you guys will ever understand, I am the raw, spit it all out, and Gonzalo molds it into the fine shape it needs to be. And that's how we work.
Another episode, we'll do the reverse. I'll do my Batman pitch, and then you help me fold it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So yes.
So do you have any so you want this to be 3 movies?
In a perfect world. In a perfect world,
your
yes.
perfect Batman movies.
Because I want that almost year one-esque feeling of a young Batman becoming Batman. You can steal a little bit from Batman Begins, but I don't want to focus too much on him becoming Batman. Like, you dedicate a good portion of the movie to him becoming Batman, but I want to get into some Batman shit.
Do you ever show the killing of the Waynes?
I think that's something that we don't need to continue with. I don't know how I would do that if you're kind of going to that year one thing. Maybe it's more of something you can talk about later, and maybe it's more like one thing that I would think would be really awesome. And I don't know who he can have this conversation with. I don't want it to be with Alfred, because Alfred knows what's up. Like, I don't know if it's maybe the future Robin or the love interest of the movie, Selena Kyle, whoever. I don't know, but I would love, instead of doing the typical dream sequence or remembering or any of those things, I would like Bruce to talk about that night. I want Bruce to tell that story. Like maybe a glimpse here and there of what happened, but I don't want him narrating a scene. I want him, like, I want the camera on his face. I want to see what it did to that little boy and why he became that. Drive that home as a human being and not just as a flashback. And I think you really touch on something that we haven't really seen. You know, I get what Batman Forever was trying to do with the Red Book, and like, you know, like they were trying to get deep in a very cheesy movie, and it didn't work. It just fell flat on its face. But if you have someone who A, is a damn good actor, and B, who's a damn good director of just fucking people, I want to hear that night in Bruce's voice, telling someone, like sharing their, like, this is why I do it, and just having that moment like in front of a fucking fireplace, or, you know, on top of a fucking building, you know, after something fucked up happened and like someone figured out that he's fucking Batman or anything. I don't care.
Does that even happen in your movie?
Oh, I don't know.
And because you're like, oh, the love interest. Is there a love interest in your movies?
Not in that first one. Yeah. No, I don't. I think
he could be talking to Gordon.
He could be talking to Gordon.
I like the idea of him opening up to Dick, though.
Yeah, it's just something like that, you know.
Because if he's talking to Gordon, then he can keep himself a secret. And he's just like, this is what happened to me. But Gordon's too smart a cop to not be able to put it together.
But that would be interesting. Like, what if that was Batman's way of like, I can't tell you.
That kind of works.
But I'm going to tell you what happened to me. And then if you want to put the work in as a detective,
you can go figure it out. And I trust you enough, because I like respect you enough to know that you could figure this out. And I trust you enough to tell you, because you could figure it out.
Do you remember the scene in Batman Begins where, or was it? Yeah, it was Begins, right? Where Batman goes to visit Gordon at his house? Mm-hmm. Okay, so what if you did something like that, right? Where he's visiting Gordon at his house, and at some point, either that conversation or a later conversation, Gordon's kind of like, hey man, I don't like this fucking, like, you know where I live shit. Like, that bugs me. Like, so for Bruce to go, like, you know, you like, maybe Gordon's like, you want to talk about trust and this and that. You want to try to build this thing, you know, but you know way too much about me. Maybe that's why Batman does that. Yeah. Like, gives him this little, you know, fucking story of what happened to him, but not telling him who he is. And then when he disappears, Gordon goes to the files, the cold cases, all this shit, you know, finds out what it was, like tries to put the time together, and he figures it out. And then when he knows that was the ultimate, like, now you know who I am. Yeah. Like, you know everything.
Would you think would it be better if like Gordon cracks that, or if like maybe Montoya or Bullock were also in on it? Like, he's trying to put together like why are you digging up these old fucking files? You know, like, Jim, what the fuck's wrong with you? And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to put something together. You know, something came into my head and this and that. And he kind of like goes over the details of the case. And someone else was like, oh, it sounds like the Waynes. Yeah, and it's like. Or would you rather?
I want Gordon to do it, because I need to also show the people why Gordon is who he is. Why people like us, who get really sweaty into Batman, know that Gordon's the shit. And
to me, I think like Gordon's. It's not that he's the world's best cop; it's that he's the strongest willed in the police department.
I agree.
You know what I mean? 100%. So he's not like the sharpest tool in the shed, but he's just the most durable tool in the shed. You know, it's like that's what you rely on. Like, and he's just bring me the hammer.
I think, yeah, that's cool. We need to have that in a line somewhere. Just bring me the hammer. Yeah, and I like that. I like that idea a lot.
But that would be cool. A way for like Bruce to open up and like
have that moment.
Yeah, where he starts to trust someone that's outside of his circle, because he can trust Alfred no matter what. Well, at least even then, he's kind of questionable at first, you know. But the first thing he does is he rings the bell, and Alfred comes to help him. You know.
You know, it'd be interesting. This isn't a big deal, but I've always, you know, it's always bothered me. So you know how Batman has the Batmobile, he has the Batcave, he has all this cool shit, and it's like, oh, it's just him and Alfred working on all of this shit. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's,
well, and like extended lore, there's a mechanic that works for them.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know, it'd be kind of cool Is like, how do you get people to work on these things? Because you need a decent workforce. Let's say you had 10. Let's say you had 10 people.
Sometimes like Kaiser Soze, but like they never know who they're working for. And they're
well, see, I'm gonna flip the script on you. What if they do know the whole situation? They know who they're making this stuff with because they live on the property because they are the help. Almost like a secret identity thing is like, Bruce Wayne has put my kids through college. He has we live on his property. We're his maids, his butlers.
Yeah, Alfred isn't the only person on that property.
Exactly. It's a huge fucking mansion. Like the gardeners and all this shit. You know, like everyone.
Dude, that'd be crazy. Like so Alfred is like ex-MI6 and shit, right? He's the ex-British intelligence. If he had like one or two dudes that were like his howling commandos that like lived on the property.
That's what I'm saying. Like so if you played that up a little bit and it's like, oh, there's like, you can even say 6. There's 6 fucking other people in this house, and then how do they not know? They do know, and they actually like their job around there. It's like a couple of hours a day. Is like just pretend to look busy, you know, go guard and this and that. But I need you in the cave, fucking working on shit, you know. That I could. That's a pill I can fucking not only swallow but get behind because it makes sense. Because it's like, why would these dudes be loyal? It's like because he's given them everything. Like he's
earned their trust and he's provided for them in a way that like society
and they believe in his cause. They're like, you know, maybe some of them have even been affected by the crime in Gotham. They're like, you know, fucking whatever you want. Like, what better storytelling device to show what kind of person Bruce Wayne / Batman is by going. This dude has done everything for us. He literally
opened his house up to strangers. You know, that would be really cool.
So I think that could be really fucking interesting. You know, it's like I've always loved the idea of him having a mechanic, but and again an off-site mechanic. But there's always these different variables. I always felt that if you have somebody, and I don't want to say literally dependent on you, but in a way, if they're like just no, this dude has done everything for me and my family. Like the least I could do is A, work on cool shit, and B, just not tell anyone he's fucking Batman. You know what I mean? Like that's the least I can fucking do. You know what I mean? Because money talks, baby. That would be kind of interesting. I don't know if that's something that it's just something that I've always thought about. It's like if I ever wrote a Batman comic, I would have help, and the help wouldn't be help. They would have secret identities. Like, no, I'm a fucking mechanic. I'm the electrician. I got the fucking. You know, like, no, we're doing it all day. You know, it's like, oh, fucking Bruce Wayne put us through school. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, so why are you a butler? Like,
and it adds to his philanthropy. You know what I mean? Like, it's something that shows Bruce doing what he says he does. You know, like, he doesn't just go out and punch people in the head. Yeah. He helps the downtrodden. He helps families. He helps improve the state of the city that he loves, you know, because their kids and their futures will go on and they'll make Gotham better. They'll make the world better. Fingers crossed, right?
Fingers crossed. So, I mean, that would be a really interesting thing for me to see.
I like that.
What else?
Do you want to get into casting or?
I can't do casting. I don't have a
screenwriting or directing or anything.
No, I don't have anything like that. I mean, maybe in the super near future I could do. I can't really think of anybody.
Would it be more important to build the world that Bruce inhabits, or kind of like the villains and like the heroics and stuff? What's a better movie for you? Like a movie about a human or a movie about an adventure?
Well, see, that's why I want my 3 movies, because that first movie is about the human, like the human aspect of everything. You know, like the almost again set in reality. You know, like the drama, kind of like Rocky. Like it's not a boxing movie. It's a fucking fantastic movie that just so happens to have boxing in it. Like it's not necessarily just that. It's so much more. You know, because from the second movie to the third movie, that's when we start getting into the adventure, like, you know.
Because the third one could basically just be all adventure, you know, be all action.
Yeah, like I want him on giant blimps and shit. You know what I mean?
Would you do like whited out eyes or like human eyes with the black makeup and shit?
Oof.
What would you want your bat suit to look like?
I see. Here's the thing. I think in that. Wow, that's a good ass question. Thank you, Gonzalo. I love what they tried to do in Batman vs Superman by giving him his costume, and although it didn't look bad, I think I go more on the Dark Knight kind of like tactical armor plated, you know, maybe not so tactical, you know, give him a little bit of that, you know, like muscly kind of look. See, the problem with that is it's like you can't, like I can't visually think of the best way too. If you're gonna do an armor look, I think it needs to be an armor look. If you're gonna do the comic book, like skin tight thing, and then it has to be that. I don't know if there's a good way to fuse those two together, because again, the tactical look, I need a black suit. With the comic book look, I want the dark gray.
What would you want?
See, the more I think about it, I think I would want a really badass, maybe not super tactical bat suit, but something along those lines. I want a black bat suit, some armor plating, make him look really fucking cool. Even though it doesn't make too much sense, I want a gold belt. You know what I mean? Like, it has to have that gold, cool looking fucking belt to it. As for the eyes, actually, I've never really minded when they don't do the whiteout. But if I were to do a whiteout, I would just do like I can't remember what movie it was.
Deadpool.
No, it was like a contact. So you could still kind of see like his pupil, but like at a distance it was just white eyes. But when you got closer, it's like you could see like, those are just eyes with like a contact in them that made it white. Yeah. I think I even seen that in a comic too. Like they did that one time. But yeah, that doesn't necessarily bother me. Of course, the black ring around. I don't want to see skin. I think it's
big bat emblem, small, noticeable circle color.
No, I would probably go big bat emblem, no color, no ring. Just kind of almost Frank Miller-esque, but more sharper. Like one of the things that I absolutely love. I love the Dark Knight's bat logo, but I wouldn't want to do that again. Maybe something like that, but rounded. Okay. Kind of play with the shapes of it, or kind of Frank Miller-esque bat, but more sharper to it. Make
maybe
it
like the Alex Ross, how it's like big.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good one. That's a decent. Yeah, I like that. Maybe not as big as he loves those big logos, but
something close to that.
Something real close to that. Yeah, that would be cool.
All right. Oh,
no. I was gonna say I've always liked the yellow behind it. From the old traditional ones, but it's just from what I'm trying to think. Like if I'm trying to be.
This is your perfect Batman movie, so
I know that's what I'm saying. If I'm trying to be like, as much as I've always loved it, I don't use it. Like I don't, you know what I mean? Because I've always liked I don't know if it was Punisher who did it first or someone who said it first, but they were like, oh, they have that as a target because it's armor. That's where most of the armor plate is, and it's great. But for visually, I like when there's no color.
Yeah. Okay, so we know that the Joker will eventually appear in this trilogy, right?
It would probably be the
but who would be two people that you would want to give love to that you haven't seen to a level that you're satisfied with that should be in this? Be they good guys or bad guys? Like two people that you would like, oh, show those guys some love because I would want them in my perfect Batman movie.
That's a damn good question. I need a serious, really fucking give this dude some love. I need a Riddler. Like,
really?
Yeah, fucking. I hate that the best Riddler I've seen on TV was fucking Jim Carrey. And I mean, technically, if you're going for the old school idea of the Riddler, then I mean, he actually did perfect. If you really think about it. But I don't want that. I like. The very first Arkham game, that Riddler was almost perfect. He wasn't too crazy, but there was a hint of crazy. He was super... Or, again, beating the fucking dead horse. The animated series. Like, if you were to combine that Riddler with what they did with the first Arkham... Because after that, they started getting really silly with him. He turned into more like a Saw-like character with, puzzles and traps and shit. And I didn't like that. If you were to do more of the animated series mixed with the first Arkham Riddler, that would be fucking badass. I want to see a badass Riddler like that. You know what I mean? That would be cool. As for a second character, I'm gonna
someone you think is gonna get some fucking shine the way that they haven't.
God damn, dude, that's a good one. Because my first instinct is to say Robin, Richard Grayson. That might have to be because I mean,
not Bane.
Well, I was trying to go one hero, one.
No, just two people from that.
Oh, well then Bane, because again, as I've said previously, I was not a fan of the Tom Hardy rendition of Bane. No, then that would be then he would be number one. Bane would be number one. Riddler would be number two. That would be fucking great. I would love to see. Yeah, little honorable mention, Robin.
Right.
But yeah, I don't have to have a Robin in a Batman, my fantasy Batman story. I don't necessarily have to have one, but. At the same time, if this is my fantasy, by the third movie, I have a Robin.
Yeah.
Richard Grayson shows some love.
I think I think that's something that is often missed in the Batman mythos is like he's Robin. Like Robin is important to the story. It's important to the balance of Bruce Wayne. It's important to the dynamic duo, and I think even the fabric of the DC universe is tied to not just Batman but also his heir.
Yeah.
And like we've had this conversation a million times before, but I would say like Superman is the pillar and cornerstone of the modern generation of DC heroes. Mm-hmm. But the next generation will be led by Dick Grayson.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
he's like the crown prince of the DC universe. He is the one that will take up arms and lead everyone into the promised land once this first generation are gone. And I think everybody knows that. So I think that Dick Grayson is very important. I'd like to see him in a movie. Done really well,
Yeah, and he would have to be done really well to pull that off.
I feel like you have to get him more right than Batman. You'd have to get him more right than almost any of the characters.
I kind of feel the same way. Like, no bullshit.
Maybe that's why it's kind of dangerous to cast a Dick Grayson,
Yeah, because, I mean, that's a tall order. Like, yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like, maybe that's why people just don't want to take it on, because it's not an easy, like, oh yeah, we'll just write them in. Like, no, yeah, exactly, there has to be, it has to be perfect, because again,
it was like Tim. I think Tim is the write-in Batman. Like, I think anybody could throw Tim Drake into a story and would be able to do justice by the character, but also not necessarily have to put so much into him, so much effort and time. And I know that at least one friend of mine that will listen to this, like, I am not disparaging Tim Drake. I fucking love Tim Drake.
Yeah, Tim Drake is the shit.
He is the best. But he'd be the easiest to put into without as much care or thought. I think Tim Drake is, well, like I said, I don't have any better way to explain it than the easiest to put into something.
Yeah.
If you're going to shoehorn a Robin in. Damian has a lot of history and a lot of explaining that needs to be done.
And yeah.
Jason Todd is so complex and fucked that if you throw him away in a movie, you're wasting too much. And like we said, Dick Grayson is almost a perfect son. So Tim is the only one that you could probably... That's why I think Tim is in the animated series in season 4 as the Little Robin. Because who else are you going to do? You can't do Jason Todd. You know, and Dick has moved on. So have Tim.
And it was so good.
And it works.
Like, he was actually like my favorite. Like, he was my favorite of that change. I was like, that's fucking awesome. So yeah,
I love Tim Drake.
Really telling a compelling story of why Richard would be involved, how he gets involved, how
what you could do is like if the first movie and the third movie mirror each other, except for instead of it being Bruce, it's Dick.
That would be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
That need to be a 3-hour movie. Yeah.
I'll watch that. 6 hours.
Yeah, that would be my big honorable mention, but also probably the hardest one, because with the villains, it's always not easy, but it's always easier to.
There are fewer dimensions to the. I think I'm still waiting for like the perfect Riddler story, and I think like Run Riddler Run and like the War of Jokes and Riddles were good, but I don't know. Even Hush, they're like Riddler stories, but. I don't know. There's no like definitive Riddler. I'm sure other people. My Riddler is the animated series Riddler.
Yeah, for sure.
It's great, but maybe less dimensions. And same with Bane. I think Bane is a really compelling character, and they're making him more compelling. Like the more that people work on this character, the more complex he's becoming. I love that. I really like the character even more so than I did when he first came out. And I was kind of a fan when he first came out. That Vengeance of Bane cover.
Oh my god, that's so
fucking
good.
Cool. But yeah, I think Richard Grayson would be a little harder to crack, so giving him a lot of time in a movie would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Any like themes or something that you'd want to see, like fathers and sons, or I don't know, like the hero, like one against a million, and all that kind of stuff. We want to see that.
The biggest theme I would want to get from a Batman movie, or any movie, or just the overall general, is that this dude, this normal man, will fucking overcome it all, like almost broken, and he will find a way to win. It's one of the reasons why I love Batman so much, because he's a man. He stands with gods. He stands toe to toe with gods. I mean, he's the one that people go seek when they need some serious help. I want there to be that moment where, like, I'd like to see, going back to what we were kind of discussing earlier, I'd like to see that moment where Batman is beaten and bloodied and like left for dead, and not like the Bond way where it's like, goodbye Mr. Bond, it's like, no, Batman's dead, we killed him, and he's like, no, and he gets up and he finds that strength and he overcomes it all, and he gets fucking his X Factor shit, and he he does it and he pulls it off, and he can barely stand. Like, one of my most favorite fucking things that I absolutely adore, that gets me so fucking like, oh, I get chills, is actually from Captain America, where he's fucking getting his ass whooped and he just fucking like stands there and he picks his fist up. He's like, I can do this all day. Like that, it's not a Batman moment. That's a Captain America moment, but something like that to where it's like, why won't you die? Like, stop it. You know, I love that about The Dark Knight, and I would want that. That would be the overall thing that I would need in maybe just even the first movie, you know, of my fantasy trilogy, is that, like, overcoming adversity at every level, but on a Batman scale. You know, it's like, Jesus Christ. Like, I think that would be it. Going, like you were saying, the father-son thing, the son and family thing, the parent thing, you know, like, no one ever forgets that he lost his parents, and I guess in a way a lot of movies don't need to beat that horse, you know, because we know, but I'm also someone who likes to know, like, you know, okay, his parents were murdered and that's why he became Batman, but it doesn't hurt to continue to understand why. Like, I don't need him to be a whiny baby about it, but I need it to kind of always be there. You know, it needs to be there. You know what I mean? Like, it needs to be something to where his constant motivation for doing what he's doing. You know, I don't need him to be a fucking psycho about it, but I just, you know, like,
well, he's a man that turned this like tragedy into triumph, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And he should always have that with him, though. Like, I like the amount of, I guess, brooding that he has in him, and he's a little angsty, but also this stuff matters. The reason he's doing it is because of the loss of his parents, you know?
Yeah.
And it should be important. It doesn't need to be beaten over the audience's head, but it should matter.
It should pop up every once in a while. You know what I mean?
That's probably like one of my favorite lines that's delivered by Tom Holland as Spider-Man is when he's sort of talking about Ben in Civil War, and he plays it as if we know what he's talking about, and that's really, really good. So something along those lines.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't need you to retell me everything, but just like...
Which I think a lot of people were like, oh, I don't want to see Uncle Ben die again. It's like, yeah, but Far From Home better say something about it. You know, like...
Exactly.
That's why he is the way he is, you know, like the great power, great responsibility. Sure, we've heard it to death, but you need to mention Uncle Ben and what that cost Peter and why he does what he does. You know, like, to just completely like, oh, everybody knows. It's like, yeah, that's true. Everybody does know, but we need to see it.
It's such an important part of who they are. You know what I mean? So yeah, going back to Batman, it has to be something that, again, you don't have to beat the audience's fucking to death with it, but little reminders here and there, you know, stuff that kind of fuels him. I think in the animated series there was that moment where he looks at his mother and father's painting. You know what I mean? Like shit like that. You know, it's like a simple pause in his day where he reflects or something. You know?
Yeah, just like somebody mentioning a father and he deep swallows or something. You know what I mean? Like just something that like it always is kind of there with him. Yeah, I really like to see that.
That's something that I also need there too. So those would be like the two biggest themes. You know, his ongoing, I guess, struggle with the loss of his parents. You know, you had put something on my Facebook a long ass time ago, and I'm gonna horribly paraphrase it, but it was something like,
oh, the quote. 8 years is long enough to love something so much that when you lose it, you turn into the goddamn Batman.
Yes, yeah, that's that right there. That's underlying theme number one is that, and then two is the overcoming adversity. Like, I want there to be a moment in one of these movies where he has in the animated series where he's on the blimp and the fucking scared crotoxin's fucking him up, and he's like, I am vengeance, I am night, I am Batman. Like, I need that. I don't need that scene, but I need something that mirrors that to where you're like, I don't know. I mean, you could even probably get kind of cheesy with that. Like, maybe him getting up from an ass whooping or, like, under wreckage or something and saying something along those lines, like, you know, with that last word, like, Batman, you know, kind of following the, you know, I'm Batman, you know, those moments, but it more of a, like, gritted teeth, blood coming out of his mouth, like, that gave me chills. Like, I could see that, you know, some fire in the background, you know, it's like, why won't you die? Who the hell are you, you know? It
would be cool. Yeah, you just like, you know, like what are you? And you're just like vengeance, and then you hear the knight from somewhere else. He's just like moving around in the shadows and shit.
Oh shit, yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, shit like that. That's a big one. So
in these movies, do you bring in any extended universe stuff, or is it just Batman?
No, I need a straight up Batman movie. I don't want any extended stuff. Again, that's more after the trilogy is done. You know, like maybe that third movie create some kind of thing where then you can start introducing other shit. Like, But no, this first three movies would be these are Batman movies. You know, let's work on getting Richard Grayson in this motherfucker before we start crossing over with Superman or mention of lanterns and shit. Like, no. It'd be cool. Okay, so in the first movie I want being that like kind of grounded detective story year one kind of stuff. And the second one, maybe more of the escalation, like the villains being created. It'd be cool to see just in the background, not talked about. His back computer's a little more advanced. You know, he has the cave is more developed. You know, he has some things. It'd be cool to see like in the background.
They dug further and it got bigger and stuff.
Yeah, you know, it'd be cool like maybe peppered through the background of him like coming across things, you know, like a relic of an ancient world, and it's like
like files on his desk or like one computer screen.
Yeah, and it's like you know.
Is there something I'm working on? What? You know?
Yeah, like, you know, a notepad that says Themyscira on it. You know what I mean? Or like fucking a map of space and like, you know, and off in the distance you just see like a Green Lantern glyph. You know what I mean? Like he's starting
compare notes with Barry Allen. You know, stuff
shit like
that.
you know, that would be cool, interesting because
like if you have the access to the DC universe, but you don't, it doesn't have to be like in this shared universe. It could just be stuff like that, like stuff on the back computer or whatever, just in the background. You know, that'd be really cool.
That would be fucking awesome.
I think that would get people really excited and happy without, you know, like we're gonna make 100 movies, you know, in this universe. It's just like, oh, you know, like you can see something in the background that's like analyzing, and like as it rotates, you see like Dr. Fate's helmet or something. You know what I mean? Like, just stuff like that. It's like, you know, all these projects that Bruce is working on, you know, like by the third movie, just like I got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies.
Yeah.
What did you need, Gordon? You know? Like, I'm sorry, you know, or whatever.
That would be awesome. But yeah, like I want to see that journey of him becoming the world's greatest detective, and I think the world's greatest detective starts stumbling upon shit that a lot of people don't stumble upon. You know what I mean? Maybe his back computer is so super advanced, fucking like crazy AI and shit that he's just on his days off, quote unquote, he's just cracking into fucking like government black site fucking communications and like just getting all this information.
Task Force X question mark? You know?
Yeah, you know what I
like,
mean?
What's that?
Wayne Enterprises is having a meet and greet, and, you know, Amanda Waller seemed important. You know what I mean? Like, who is this Amanda Waller?
Like a seating arrangement, like A. Waller, L. Luthor. Like,
stuff like that.
Like, M. Lord. Just like all these, like, oh, it's Maxwell Lord, you know, all those characters. He's just like the seating arrangement. It's like, I'm trying to get this fundraiser going, you know, like.
And even then, like another little tidbit of not an Easter egg, but a very strong Easter egg is like, you know, off scene or coming from a fucking corporate meeting with Lex Luthor. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
no, go back to Easter eggs, little things like that, where it's like, it's not, you know, like, hey, Lex Luthor, what are you doing here? You know, and then Lex comes out and he says one thing and leaves, you know? Like, no, just have like, I had a meeting with the head of LexCorp. And he doesn't say his name, but Luthor runs it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or whatever. You do.
No, I like that. Like, you know, it's like, he's like, you know, what's on the agenda today, Master Wayne? You know, or some shit like that. Or Bruce, what's going on today? It's like, oh, corporate meeting here, this and that. And, you know, meeting with the head fucking honcho of LexCorp. Okay. Yeah. All right, that's cool. All right. You know, we all know what that means.
Yeah.
Maybe for someone who doesn't.
You know, it's like, Master Wayne, there's a Mercy on the line for you. She wanted to confirm your lunch date with
that would be even
whatever.
better.
Like, oh shit, I forgot. I didn't mean to I have to get back to Luthor.
It'd be cool if like you have Bruce in his bat suit with his mask off, right, sitting in the thing, and then like Alfred's like, you know, there's a Mercy on line too, you know, confirming your. And he's like, he was in bat mode. He's like, Mercy.
It's
like,
have you ever seen like that in Batman the Animated Series or
something?
Like, for sure. That'd be awesome. Just like, God,
like,
I can't figure this fucking. Mercy, how are you? Like his voice changes and shit.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I will be there. You know.
And then just to get extra sweaty, just have him like, yes, table for two at Dorsia. Sounds good.
That would be cool. That would be fucking cool. But yeah, little things like that. You can pepper the DC universe in there, and as the movies progress, it's getting a little bit more. But they're never focal points. They're just kind of passing by. But you know that there is an extended universe coming or something like that. You know, or maybe you could even, if you really wanted to push the envelope, you could even have moments where it's like, he's just gotten back in or he's leaving, and on the TV, like there's a fucking, something happening in another part of the world that was some kind of a bigger thing. It wasn't just a forest fire. It wasn't just something, and like Bruce just kind of looking at the TV, you could see the gears turning, like, oh, that was an event that happened. Because one thing that I don't like, or I don't necessarily don't like, I want if there's going to be these things happening outside of Gotham, especially stuff like that where it's like, San Francisco was fucking... Star City was... half of Star City's fucking, metropolis area was destroyed today, but they're not like...
Giant starfish alien coming down and...
Maybe not citizens. That much, but like something...
Bruce is like, that's too big for me.
Like explosion at Star Labs or something, like those little things picking up, and he's either like into it or he's like, you can see him, and I don't know how you emote this with no words, but just kind of like put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. I want to know what's going on there, just little stuff like that. That would be fucking badass. I would love that.
Okay, so hard questions. How does this trilogy end, and what are the titles of the 3 movies?
Well, it ends with Batman winning.
He's just standing over everyone.
Everybody. There's a pile of people there, and he's just standing over them with a big...
He's like on Everest.
Bat
He's like
symbol in the sky, and bells ringing like in the end of the first movie.
And everyone's like reaching up.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, okay, so does your trilogy end with him, the optimal version of himself, or is it like later in his career and he's about to pass the baton on? Or is he about to die? Does he die?
No. I don't want to go out that way.
Maybe like 32-year-old Batman, and he has Dick Grayson.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if it's a waste, but I think that second movie introduces Richard, right? Mm-hmm. But we don't see Robin in the second movie. I think that third movie ends with Robin becoming Robin, and it's like, what? We don't even get to see him fucking like do Robin shit. It's like, no, because that movie ends almost at a point where it's like, these 3 movies are over. Batman's story is done, and now anything after that would be with Robin. They would no longer be just Batman movies. It'd be Batman and Robin movies, As for like the actual, like what I would want to see it end like, this is the only time I ever sound very corporate, but those 3 movies end with the dawning of Robin and with the introduction to the bigger universe. DC. Yeah. Segueing into some sort of a JLA, thing. Well, actually, probably just starting off with just Superman. Like, crossing paths with Superman or, something like that. But the bottom line is that third and final movie for Batman would kind of go more like, okay, kind of like the way like Cap, had his movies, but then now like it's like, okay, now we're into Infinity War and Endgame. It turns into something like that. Like maybe Batman sparks off the a JLA movie that will then start turning into, these are JLA movies, but Batman started it, kind of like how Iron Man fucking hooked it up for the MCU kind of thing.
By the way, like the third Cap movie is like Avengers 2.5.
Yeah, exactly. That would be really cool.
So what are they called? Batman, the Batman.
Damn, that's a really good one.
And I have one more final question for you.
Okay, so the first Batman movie, I don't want to call it year 1, but it would be something along those lines of like...
Why not?
Because I feel like if you call Batman year 1,
I'm expecting year 1.
Year 1, like...
Well, I mean, they got away with it with Civil War.
That's true. That is true.
And I think like...
We'll just call it Begins.
Well, like, just take back year 1, right? Like, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that Batman year 1 was the first comic story to be labeled year 1 to explain the first year in someone's career, and it's been all over comics since. There's even a Die Hard year 1, right?
Oh my god!
But everybody knows that when you say year 1,
it's the beginning.
It's the beginning, and that came from Frank Miller and David Mazzucchelli, right? So if we take it back for the story, like for Batman year 1.
Okay, well then let's go with that, because that's exactly like. I keep saying in my head as you're asking the question, I'm like, Batman year 1 or Batman Begins? Fuck! So, I mean, yeah, I guess that first movie is Batman year 1.
You don't even have to call it Batman, just call it year 1. And everyone's like, oh, what's this year 1 movie? This works.
I think there is a year 1 movie, though.
Oh, isn't that movie?
Yeah.
But there's like movies.
I don't want it next to each other when you're looking through IMDb. No, it's Batman year 1.
BM year 1.
BMY 1.
That was the second one called.
Second one, Endgame.
Batman with a Vengeance.
Batman with a Vengeance. Ooh. Oh, no, there was already something like that. Never mind.
Nah. What?
Well, because I was like, when you said that, like, what did you just say? You just
Batman with a Vengeance.
Yeah, Batman with a Vengeance. And I was like, that's stupid. I was like, but then I went to like, well, I love that. You know, I am the Knight, I'm Batman, all that stuff. I was thinking, well, what if you were able, like, if Batman, the first movie's Batman Year One, the second one was like Batman, I am the Knight, you know, or something like that. Something
or you could call the first one just Vengeance.
Well, see,
the Knight, and then Batman. That'd be pretty good.
Ooh, I dig that.
People would know
That, that's pretty sweet. Vengeance Knight Batman. Thank you. You did all the work for me. Yeah, that movie is just called Vengeance. It's not called Batman Vengeance.
Right, the first one's called Vengeance.
And then, or it could be Vengeance, and then like for fucking stupid people, you can have it like little parentheses Batman Year One.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I think the second
one could be called The Knight. So I am Vengeance. I am the Knight. I am Batman. So it'd be what he is. He's Vengeance. He's the Knight. He's Batman. Yeah. Really cool.
That's kind of cool. I like that. Well, I'm not gonna lie. Depending, like, if that second, see, you'd have to have a really good storyteller, because in my head, like, it's almost this weird, like, no, you can't do that. But this is my fucking movie, so I'm trying to think, like.
And the cool thing is that you can ride off of like something. The way that Logan works is that we bring a lot of our own love and history to that character that adds to the mythology, right? So enough people know who Batman is. We don't have to call a fucking Batman movie Batman.
Yeah.
You know, there's just.
Well, what I was gonna say is, if that first movie is going to be his Year One and it's called Vengeance, because that's what it's technically, you know, it's like the vengeance of his family's death, and like him trying to fix the city and all this stuff. So that makes perfect sense. You know, calling that movie Vengeance. You know, it's like a Batman story. And then the second movie, it would be kind of cool. His first major villain, like costume villain, would be Bane, and I would actually want to call that movie Nightfall. You know what I mean? Because it's Vengeance and it's still night, but it's I don't know, Nightfall. Like I've always loved that title.
That's
like,
a great title.
Every time I've heard that, I think that's.
And especially if you spell it with the K, you know, like
for
like
sure.
Nightfall, like those letters look cool together, like the K, the G, the N, the F, and the L. They look cool, so that'd be cool.
So Vengeance, Nightfall, and then
I am Batman.
We are Batman. That's another movie we got to talk about. We need to talk about Venom, because god damn it, Good Guy Venom is what I want to call it. Good Guy Venom.
That's all Marvel does. They don't know how to make villains. All they do is make heroes and anti-heroes.
Yeah, seriously. Anyways, we'll get into that one again. The third movie, dude, I don't know what I would call that third movie.
Just call it 3.
I don't know what I would call that. I don't know what I call that third movie. Because the other two make, like, yeah, it's like, okay, Vengeance, his rise, and Nightfall, you know, him being fucking beaten.
Just call it Triumphant.
Right? I mean.
Because, like, that was the Schumacher. He was supposed to be the third one or whatever.
Right, the Triumphant that we didn't get.
Yeah. Beady Little Eyes.
Dark Victory.
Oh, that's a good one.
I would call it Dark Victory.
The third one?
Yeah.
So Vengeance, Nightfall, Dark Victory. Oh, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah. Holy shit. Done. There's my 3 titles.
At the beginning of like the second Batman movie, you do the Star Wars crawl, but it's like a cowardly and superstitious lie. You do the whole Batman thing.
Dude, that'd be so cool. Oh my god.
That's what I would call my Batman movie.
What?
Cowardly and superstitious lie.
There you go. Those are my 3 titles right there.
Final question for your Batman movie.
All right, here we go.
What fucking weird, nerdy, dumb, deep cut Batman thing would you throw in there? Like, it has to be in there. Like Batmite, or the multicolored Batman, or the giant penny, or you know, like what would be
the giant penny?
That would be it.
That would, if you're gonna get something so ridiculous that it's almost like what, but it's like no, it has the giant penny or the T-Rex or both.
Well, I guess you could do both. That would be your like
that the Batcave with the giant penny and the T-Rex. Like, that's because I hate Batmite. I fucking hate Batmite, and I wasn't a big fan of the multicolored thing. I get
that
it.
Batman of Zur-En-Aw.
Yeah.
I like the idea that basically Batman had trained himself to have a backup identity that was the pure Batman.
Yeah.
That could subsist if his mind was fucked. Which I thought that's a great idea, but the Zur-En-Aw kind of like, you know what?
Yeah, it just wasn't I fucking hate Batmite.
So weird.
Or maybe, or you know,
I mean, it makes sense, like knowing you and how you are. Like, oh yeah, I'd tell anybody like, oh, Marcus fucking hate Batman.
Yeah.
Batmite.
Yeah. Or it's it's Penny the T-Rex. The only other thing I could think of that would have been kind of cool, but it just, I guess, chronologically wouldn't fit, is like by the second or maybe even the third movie, he gets a little fucking black. What is fucking Ace? What is he's like a
the Bat Hound?
Yeah. But what is it?
It's like a Doberman Pinscher.
Yeah, Doberman. Mm-hmm. Like he got a black Doberman Pinscher by like the second or third movie. It's like, is that Ace? Like, does he get Ace?
That'd be pretty cool.
But the Penny and the T-Rex.
Yeah,
those would be like just fucking giant. Like, what?
Well, I would give you all the money, and I would pay all the money to watch that.
Yeah.
That Batman trilogy. So that was Marcus's dream pitch for a Batman movie. And next time we'll go through kind of my dream pitch for a Batman movie. And we'll do this again really soon. But Marcus, would you like to take us out?
Yes, absolutely. So again, like we've been saying a million times, thank you guys so much for listening in. If you'd like to contact us, comment or anything like that, hit us up on Twitter at EOTI_podcast. This is honestly probably the best way to communicate with us, and throw your comments in there, of course, commenting on YouTube. And then hit us up on email at endoftheinternet@gmail.com. We really love to hear what you guys have to say, and I really would like to hear what you guys think about my ideas. I am extremely into myself, so if you want to pat me on the back, cool. If not, if you want to shit all over me, then just email us, because I don't
We'll take that
email.
as anything. Just look at us, please. But for the End of the Internet podcast, my name is Gonzalo.
I am Marcus.
And you've reached the end of the internet, and this is the end of the episode. Have a good night, guys.
Peace.